Hello everyone. In this lecture 19, we will understand the integration between personal administration and organizational management. How to integrate these two sub-modules of SAP HCM. So we will understand the first thing is pluggy switches. What is pluggy switches? And secondly, there are some standard reports which are used to integrate the data between PA and OM. So what are pluggy switches? So in order to integrate between PA and OM, the following switches need to be maintained in the table called T77S0. So this table basically stores different switches. So if you are trying to find any switch, you just have to go to this table and then you can find. But the most important thing is that you need to know the group name and SAM abbreviation here. Why? Because when you know the group name, then only you will be able to find what is the switch assigned to it. So basically, if you see here, we are trying to integrate PA and OM. What do you mean that? Meaning, yesterday on the previous lecture, if you recall, I hired an employee in personal administration. So in my previous lecture, I hired an employee in personal administration, and then the moment I assigned that person to a position in organizational management, automatically in info type 1, that particular employee was assigned to the position, was assigned to organizational unit, was assigned to a job. Why? Because all the data was flowing from the organizational management to personal administration. To enable this integration to happen, these are the switches, if you see in the screenshot, which are very important. So pluggy orga. Pluggy orga is a switch where you have to enter X. When you put X here, then what happens? Whatever the data you are basically assigning to an employee in organizational management, then that data will automatically get reflected in info type 1. So pluggy orga switch is for info type 1. This is very important in the interview. Sometimes the interviewer will ask you what is the switch to integrate the PA and OM. You should always say that it is a pluggy orga, and the value you should enter is X. Now the second important switch is pluggy. In pluggy, you have to give the plan version name. In my previous lecture, I told you can create many plan versions, but at a time only one plan version will be active. So that plan version you have to enter here. Then only when the data is flowing between OM and PA, it will only transfer the data which is basically belonging to the plan version, whatever you have placed here. So this is one of the switch. Now this number 99999, what is this number? If you recall in the previous lecture, I assigned this number. This is the position number assigned when there is no integration, because position is created in OM. So now if there is no integration, or for example there was no OM implemented in a company and they are least bothered about to know the position of the employee. Some companies I have seen, they don't want OM. They say no, we don't want OM, we just want personal administration, which is PA. In that case, when you hire an employee through the transaction code PA40, then in info type actions 0000, there is a field which comes as position. That time you have to enter this number 9999, because that SAP has provided this number. That means default position. In case there is no position, give this number. That's it. So these are some of the switches here. Now let me tell you what are the standard reports which are used to transfer the data between PA and OM. Keep in mind, when I talk about integration between OM and PA, normally it is like info type 1. Okay, it is info type 1. But apart from that, there are some other info types which also basically gets updated. So let me basically show you some of the reports here. The first report name is RHINTE00. What does this report do? This is the only one report which is used to create the objects in OM from PA. So now this is a reverse order. Like in info type 1, for example, you have created employee group, employee subgroup, personal area, sub area, and in PA you can also create positions, jobs, or unit. So sometimes the company basically they implement OM if they want to utilize all the functionality, but sometimes they don't want to use OM and they can create positions, job, or unit in PA. In PA also there is a possibility to create this without OM. In that case, what is happening then? Tomorrow your company is thinking of implementing OM. Now they already had PA implemented, and in info type 1 the employee is assigned to job, position, or unit. Now when the company is trying to implement OM, at that point of time they don't have to waste the time and again start creating org unit, position, job in OM, because info type 1 for all of their employees is already updated with org unit, job, position. What they can do, they can transfer this object from PA to OM. In that case you have to use this report RHINTE00. So this report creates the object in OM from PA info type 0001. So it creates objects and relationships in OM. Now the three reports, the number 2, 3, and 4, these reports are used when you transfer the data from OM to PA. So the first report is RHINTE110. This report, it transfer the objects you created in OM into the PA tables, because each module in SAP, like PA module is one of the sub module of SAP HCM, OM is one of the sub module of SAP HCM. Now and each of this sub module will have its own tables. They will have their own tables for the data. Now when you want to transfer the data from OM to PA, the first report is RHINTE110. What does this report do? It will basically transfer the objects you created on OM to the tables in PA. So those tables will be updated in PA. This is the first step. Now then you use the report RHINTE30. When you run this report, then the info type 1, which is 001, organizational assignment, this will be updated for those employees. Now when you transfer this data from OM to PA, sometimes there will be some inconsistencies, like some objects might not have been updated properly, some might have failed due to some error or due to some missing data. At that point of time, there is one more report called RHINTE20. This report, what it does, it basically checks whether the objects which are relevant for integration are set up in both PA and OM. If there is some missing items, it will list in that report. So now let me show you how this integration affects info type 1. Okay, go to PA30 here. So the number which I was using was 50062. Go to info type 1 here, display. If you see this part, this position, job, and org unit, they came up from OM because the integration was active. How basically you active the integration? I told you to go to the table. How to go and access any table? To access any table, the transaction code is SM30. You hit enter. The first screen will be this. Enter the table name T77S0. So once you enter this table and go and click maintain, I'm already blocked it. Okay. Oh, this table is already open. Okay. So now you are searching for the group name is Ploggy. Ploggy is the group name where the switches for our OM are stored. When you say pluggy, now you see here these two main switches. One is like pluggy orga, which is set to X, meaning that info type 1 will be updated from OM. If you remove this X, then OM objects will not be basically would say updated in PA. The second one is the pluggy, which is basically storing the current, or I would say the active plan version. If you remember, I have created a plan version called ZA, I entered here. So these are the two key switches. So you have to remember this. Okay. So this was the how the integration happens between OM and PA. So whenever you talk about integration, there are two important things you need to know. One is the switches in this table, and second is the standard reports. So to access the standard reports, you have to go to the transaction code SE38, SE38, and then you can enter this report's name, whatever I was talking about here, and then you can utilize this report to transfer the data from OM to PA. So and then you can basically verify whether this or whatever the person I have assigned to the position in OM, is that position updated for this employee in info type 1. Like yesterday I showed you that that particular employee 50062, his info type 1 was updated with position, job or unit. Why? Because in OM I have assigned that employee to a particular position, and because of the integration of data, all those objects basically were updated in the info type 1. So that was the class for the integration between PA and OM. I hope you enjoyed. I would recommend you to basically create more data in OM, and then assign some people or persons in OM. And when I say assign the persons in OM, means you have to first create some employees in PA. Create some 10 employees in PA, and then create 10 positions in OM, assign these 10 employees to those 10 positions, and then have the data flow in PA, and then look in the info type 1 whether that employee in info type 1 is updated with these positions. So that was the end of this class. Thank you.